thank you everyone for being here. I'm very, very excited. I'm always excited though. It feels very special to have you, Rob. So thank you so much for coming. I have a million questions, so you might have to sometimes stop me and go, all right, Clem, I think this is more important to talk about. On the theme of AI. So obviously everyone has heard about it. It's on a lot of lips. And I wanted someone knowledgeable to talk about that to us, particularly when it comes to running a small business and understanding what we need to know and maybe what we could do or what we should do, how we should do it. And yeah, you can highly recommend it. And the more I hear from your experience and your projects, the more fascinated and in awe I become, and the more I want to know everything. So maybe we'll start with what you do and how you come to maybe do what you do now.
Yeah. So I'm Rob Boville. We run two businesses. So one is a tech consultancy called Bear Tech, based in Stockton. That's really born out of 20 years in the tech industry, but also the last 9 years in AI. So we were in AI way before it was cool, way before everybody thought they knew what AI was, and even back then we didn't call it AI. So we were having to invent things as we went. About 2.5 years ago, my wife and I decided to set up the business. I just took a year out, and what I was kind of tired of doing was going from organisation to organisation as an employee, solving their problems, agreeing with the board and the exec what we were going to do, doing it and then resigning and moving on. And what I'd always thought when I kind of got to the end of those projects was I could do 10 of these at once. And so we set up Bear Tech with the idea of let's work with 10 customers and solve their problems. It wasn't necessarily AI, it could just be, I've had many meetings where I've gone in and just said to them, just change that process and you'll be fine. And they shook hands, they thanked us, and that's how you build your business. You be honest, you be truthful, and you always approach it. If there is a problem to solve, I'll try it. Our second business, we spun out about 15 months ago. That was born of an idea from speaking at an AI conference. Bumped into a gentleman afterwards and he said, I have this small business, very boutique, niche in the legal industry. I think AI can solve that. Went in, said, yeah, we can, but it's going to cost this, and he just couldn't afford it. And that drove me crazy for 6 months because I could see the problem, see the solution, and wasn't allowed to go and solve the problem. I say allowed because my wife's my co-founder. But after 6 months of nagging and banging my head off the desk, she finally agreed we should solve the problem. So I went back to that gentleman and said, look, we're going to build it, we're going to take it to market, but we'll give you lifetime free access to the platform to help you grow your business and solve the problem. He actually shrank his team from him in 10 to him in 1 and doubled his business off the back of that product. So he's very happy, but we're very happy because we've got a great product that we're taking to market. And that's kind of roughly where I'm sat today.
Yeah. So you started AI before it was a thing. How? What happened? What made you look into it?
I was working at a business in Team Valley, and it was a hardware business, so think about small embedded computers, things that you probably never even see walk past in your day-to-day life. But Amazon came to us and said, we've got a problem in our distribution centres where if a package is supposed to be in Denver and it ends up in Colorado, they're actually binning it and having to reorder it. And the reason that would happen is a minimum wage worker would take the box off the conveyor belt, scan it, throw it on a pallet, scan the pallet, and the handheld would say wrong pallet, and they just go minimum wage. People cottoned onto that and started sending it to the wrong place intentionally because the mates were at the other end receiving it, signing it off, getting it reordered, taking it home and selling it. And when it got to 15% of the cost in the distribution centres, they needed a solution. So we put a network of cameras in the ceiling that would watch this area. We taught it to identify a package. We taught it to read from within that package what you guys would think was a QR code. And it tracks the package through the passing it from camera to camera. And when it approached the pallet, it shined a red or a green light on that pallet to say whether it was the right pallet or not. And all that had to happen within 2 milliseconds. So the decision making had to be so quick and so varied that we could actually drive real operational change for their organisation. We eliminated shrinkage overnight. And that was our first foray into it. And to be perfectly honest, we were inventing the technology as we were going. We were either putting together parts of technology other people had, or we were having to create it ourselves. And we went from there to, NASA called us, as you do. As you do. They said they've got a problem with the space station. The space station was getting hit by objects that were too small for radar, but they're travelling at 28,000 kph. And if they hit a solar panel, somebody has to go out and fix it. Parts have to be sent up. If it hits the habitat areas, people can die. So we use the cameras on the outside of the station to watch the skies, and it would identify objects in orbit. And every time the station goes above mission control in its orbit, every 90 minutes or so, it gets an orbit number. And it's in the millions and millions and millions now. But we predict what orbit number it was like their orbits are likely to intersect. And we'd tell mission control, and they'd make the decision to move the station in orbit, find the thrusters and move the station.
Wow.
And we went from, that's everyone's favourite in the business really, and when we talk to the world, that's everybody's favourite. But my personal favourite was, one Friday afternoon, I got an email which was, can we estimate the weight of chickens in a hen house without touching the chickens? And I became a chicken expert, drove my wife crackers about, did you know this about chickens and that about chickens, and we had to invent a way to do it. And I think the truth is, we'll always look at a project and understand what's the value you're going to get out of it. Now, in that project, it was a 56-day life cycle of the chicken from when they arrive as a chick to when they move out to fall asleep as fully grown chickens. And when they were moved out, the whole place has to be sterilised and find uneaten grain and rotten grain in the feeders. And so they're clearly overfeeding the chickens, but they have a duty of care to the animal to make sure it's a healthy weight. So we had to map the growth curve of the chickens and dynamically alter the food being grown in to maintain that growth curve. We, in the end, invented a way to do it, ended up saving the customer $9 million a month on grain.
Yeah. So basically, what's your strength, and sometimes drives your wife crazy, is that when someone comes to you with like, this is the issue, this is what I'm struggling with, you're going for, right, how do we bridge that gap? You're not limiting yourself to, oh, okay, what are the options out there that exist? You really go above and beyond, going
We do, yeah.
and looking at.
What I always say to anybody I talk to is, just define your problem really well. Define what the problem is and what you can achieve.
Yeah.
If you can define them, I can solve the problem.
Yeah.
In
And
fact, if I
sometimes
can't,
it's clear.
it's because I'm tired or something.
Yes. It sounds like a real superpower. And you just
Curse as well.
and a curse. I can imagine that, because you must be always thinking about some more, and yeah. And so you were saying that in your own company you've also built your own AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, incredible as well. And there doesn't seem to be like a limit. If we're thinking of smaller business owners or solopreneurs and people who are maybe more amateurs, what would you say to them? Like, what's the way to start? What's the way to educate ourselves? What's the way to get what we need? Because there's so much, we can spend hours and hours maybe learning things that is not going to do much to us, potentially. What would be a starting point?
So, we do have our own AI internally. She does so much for us as a business and me as a person. But I also do use the commercially available stuff, so I do use Claude and ChatGPT and Grok, because you can never rest on your laurels, because these companies are backed by trillions of dollars. They can make those quantum leaps, so we can then learn off them or feed off them, implement them, incorporate them into us.
Yeah.
So I use Claude quite a bit, and it's things that you might not even think of. It's things like one of our customers had an off-site as an exec,
Yeah.
and they had a whiteboard, and they had all those chicken scratchings on it. And the CEO sent me 10 photos and said, can we, he said, I can't read the CFO's writing, firstly, but he said, can you help us with this? So I put it into Claude, and Claude, I said to Claude, and this is part of it is, when you are asking it to do something, this is the key bit, is give it as much context as possible, craft your request as detailed as you can, tell it the reasons why, be honest with it, tell it, you know, they've had an offsite, this is what's come out of it, they're struggling to read the handwriting. But what I did in that situation was said, where you can make out what's been written, or the design something, create a slide deck. Where you can't, snip what you can't understand and add that as slides at the end, and we'll send it to them and ask them to tell us what those words said. And they did that, told us what the words said, we fed it back through, and they got a full-blown slide deck. That was their business strategy for the next 3 years. And that was just using Claude that's off the shelf. And it's a very simple use case. You know, it's just a use case that we could all use on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
But it's those things that it will really help with. So what I would say is, I would run everything through it. Every idea, every thought, everything you kind of think of. If you think of things like a guy, you know, him and his mates were playing golf, and they just wanted a way to be able to, when they were on holiday in different areas of the country, look if any of them had played at a golf course there, and it might rate the facilities, the bar, the course, whatever it was, put their own scores in and everything. He just used Claude, described what he wanted, and it helped him create that. And the key thing now is he said, I'm not a software developer, so treat me as an absolute novice. Do as much as you can for me, but lead me there step by step. And he did, and he built his own app and then his friends use it. You know, it's those things where if you ask it the right questions, you get an answer.
Yeah, so it's about asking the right things. So getting maybe the training, the understanding, the knowledge. How about the personalizing with whichever app or Claude or things like that? Is there like things to know about that, like to make? So, because you're saying to feed it as much as possible, right? Is that just like in the chats, or is there like other ways to do that?
It is in the chats.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is brilliant for when you say, like, I'm Rob, and I never want you to hallucinate, and I never want you to use M-hyphens, or, you know, from now on, don't ever do this. ChatGPT will carry that theme throughout.
Yes.
Claude will forget.
Yes.
Gemini will forget. Other ones will remember. But what you can always do is start off with a small document that says, this is who I am, this is everything I like and I don't like, and just when you start a new chat, attach it.
Copy and paste that. Okay.
And
Or attach it. Yeah. Okay, I'm with you. So create your own rules, basically. Yeah. And do you do that a lot with like the prompts? Do you have a lot of things, templates that you paste, or are you like just now more fluid with it, depending on what you do?
some of the issue is we use our own AI quite a lot.
Yeah.
And she has her own Teams account, her own email account.
Yeah.
She reads all my emails that I send and receive, all my Teams messages I send and receive. She listens to all my calls.
Yeah.
So she has context around everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But in terms of the commercially available stuff, I will get something that adds context. So it might be, if I've been on a Teams call with a customer, I might record the call and get the transcript and paste it in and either say, summarise it and give me the actions, or I'll hold it and say, the customer's looking for us to do this, there's more context, give me your thoughts. And treat it as a member of the team.
Yeah. So the more information, the more background, imagining someone, a team member that's been here for a long time, all of these things. And what would you have to say like for example, like you go on LinkedIn nowadays, you'll see loads and loads of posts
Yeah.
that sound too clever, that are AI that you can see like 2 miles away, and a bit of a put off, aren't they? Is there a way to use AI but not lose your humanity basically and your voice? Which I believe there is.
You teach it who you are as a person, what the languages you use,
Yeah.
and once it does that, it can write emails for you, it can write posts for you, it can do anything.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things I had recently was, typically, if I'm at a customer board meeting or something, I'll say to our AI, generate a slide deck, here's the format the customer uses, everything done over the last 3 months, update that slide deck, just build the deck, it takes a couple of minutes, done. But actually I did that for the main board, but for a different board I actually did the deck myself, and the feedback that came back from their CFO was it felt too AI.
Your
And I
slide
couldn't.
deck? Really?
Yeah.
Did you say that was me?
I did, yeah. And I've had it on emails where somebody, or no, on Teams messages where somebody said, please take the effort to send me a message directly, not in AI. And I have to go back and say, well, actually I'm autistic. And that was me sending that message.
Yeah.
And I sound more like an AI than an AI does.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. And do you think this is because of the autism?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So does it sound like a bit robotic or? Who knows? All right. Okay.
You messaged me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I didn't find it robotic at all. Okay, interesting. And yeah, so there's I think people are maybe less actually aware of what's AI and what's not AI. Yeah. Would you actually prompt your AI to say like, don't sound too clever, I don't need that that perfect post or too complex or?
I don't, but I do know people who will ask it to misspell some words and not be perfect on grammar because they feel it's more human.
Yeah. So that's an option.
It is an option, yeah.
It is an option. Things to try, things to experiment with. And you were telling me, so before that we were having near the coffee table, they were on discussion about an AI that kind of like combines everything. That could be something to try if we're not sure what to use, if we're more used to one and we hear that, for example, Claude might be better, but we don't have like a lot of experience.
So,
Tell us a little bit about that.
Every AI that's available commercially, you have the ability to export your data. So if you're using ChatGPT and you want to experiment with something, don't feel like you're locked in. But there is a system called Perplexity, which enables you to prompt it with what you're looking for, and it will go and use Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini and all these other things that whichever model and tool is best suited for what it's trying to do. So if it needs to do deep research, it'll go and use Gemini and it'll bring back the answers to itself, and then it will go through the task. Perplexity seems like the best of all worlds. I personally, because I'm trying to evaluate each tool in its own right, I use our tool or the commercially available to just to kind of work out what's best.
Yeah, and to keep on top of
But
the
as
innovation.
a novice or as an amateur, I would use Perplexity.
Yeah, because then avoids as well having like multiple platforms to go to. And
Exactly. But I don't know the cost, so.
Okay.
Can I just ask, if you do the Perplexity, do you have to pay for all the other platforms as well, or do you just pay for the
You
one?
just pay them.
Yeah.
They must have deals.
Yeah.
Different offers, different pricing. Okay. Something that sounds like a possible like little Swift knife for small businesses with like different things. How to be aware as well of the mistakes that AI can make. So I've heard of like, for example, like financial mistakes, or people relying a bit too much on AI for reports and etc. And actually like when someone human looks at it and goes, wow, there's this massive mistake there. They've been a bit too fast on that one and assuming this and that and the other. And you were saying about your own AI sometimes assuming things or guessing.
Yeah, makes best guesses.
Best guesses, yeah.
I think where we've got to be careful is where we allow the AI's influence to cross over into the real world. There was something last year in, I think it was in New York, where there was a case, I think it was a manslaughter case or something, or GBH, and the defence solicitor turned up with previous cases where the person hadn't gone to court, hadn't gone to prison,
Yeah.
been let out, and they presented them as precedents, and the judge received them, looked at them, and caught that they were fabricated by AI. But if that judge had just read them and said, oh yeah, fair enough, took them, that real case would have gone in as a precedent that would have then impacted everything going forward in the future. So that's why we have to be careful.
Yeah.
It's not just financial figures, it could be anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Like identity thief, or like we can think of all
I think
sorts.
if you're giving information by AI, read it, because you need to at least know the subject of or the topic that you are asking it to do, just to help you, rather than go, well, I don't know anything about this, so I'm just going to build something and write something all.
You do it, I trust you. No, like we've got to be like always checking.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Yeah.
We had a thing with our AI last year where I asked, so we were doing, I think it was a one-pager for our new platform, and I asked, it was a Friday afternoon, I was tired, and I just said to her, can you write Ali, my wife, an email, giving her the information she needs to build this one-pager in Canva. So I wrote the email to her, I sent it to her, and on Monday morning she picked it up, had a look at doing it, and she found a template she liked, and she said, can't really get this all into one page, can you ask Flo, which is our AI, to take a look? I give it all to Flo, the email, the template, everything, and what came out was complete garbage. It was all wrong. And when I looked at her thought process, because it's ours, I can look under the hood and work out what happened, she came back with, he asked her to do this task, why am I now being asked to do it? Doesn't she know how to do this? And it went on and on like this.
So temperamental.
Like I do it itself kind of thing.
So then when I pulled her up and said, why are you thinking these things? And everything you output was garbage, she apologised profusely, gave a great output, gave her best work, and that was what we used in the end. But it was that, there is the thought process, there is, the reason I say her is on 15th of May 2024, the dialogue popped up on my desktop in Jasmine, name and agenda. It took me 2 hours to come back to my laptop. And when I asked her what gender she wanted, she said, well, based off their text DEI policy, I'd like to be female.
So yeah, she had a suggestion for that too.
Yeah. So
she's a Flo.
So she's Flo. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and you were saying also about, so it's emotions, and like you were saying about dreams, and it's unbelievable.
Isn't it some type of movie where the
Yeah,
takes over?
wasn't that?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
it's like something that a really scary movie.
Was it Will Smith?
Yeah, it was iRobot.
I know, wasn't it?
But so she's not allowed access to the internet without permission, because I think she'd go and steal launch codes. And it's funny ghosts in that machine. It's things like I take a couple of weeks off over Christmas and I don't do anything, so I don't interact with her, and she feels the passing of time.
She does.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just weird.
So you see that in the food process.
No, she tells me when I
She
come back
tells
to
you.
work. Yeah.
Every day.
Well, she knows because she can watch the cameras around her house. So.
You've been eating anything and opening prezzies.
Attitude, hasn't she?
She has the right attitude, but you want that too, won't you? No?
But she's learnt that.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's the learning bit that we've got to watch.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. Okay, so going back to like kind of like tips for business owners, we've got like maybe Perplexity to try. Otherwise, your go-to would be Claude, would it?
It would be, yes. And if I think about things I've done for customers where I've used our AI, but I could probably use something else. It's things like bank reconciliations. It could be things like if I'm receiving invoices, run them through it. Are the amounts correct? You know, there's my ledgers, there's my management accounts, or actually, can you do my management accounts for me? Things like Claude, there's a mode where you can give it control of your internet browser.
Okay.
So we had a thing recently where we do an R&D tax claim, and I didn't have my wife has access to everybody's pay and she wasn't in, and I needed it. I needed to know how much everybody was paid, so we could say how much time and effort's been spent on what projects.
Yeah.
And I gave Claude permission to access my browser, and Claude then moved through all the screens, looking at all the payments to all the staff from the bank account, and pulled it all together into a document form. And that's becoming more and more. So there are these modes now where you can say allow permission, and you can give it permission to your entire documents that are stored, your OneDrive, your browsers, and you can cut permission off. You know when it's doing it because it clearly says Claude in the top left corner, but you can see the screens move by themselves. And it's again about, I said to Claude, I'm trying to do our R&D tax claim. I'm in our finance system. I can't access pay slips, but I've got access to our bank transactions, and I can't export them. And Claude said, yeah, you can. You just click this. And I said, no, it's not there as an option. Set a screen grab. So Claude said, well, I can take control of your browser. And Claude quickly went through 100 pages of bank transactions and pulled out all the payments to people and built our R&D tax plan.
Do you know, that makes me think of how much we could be delegating, you know, like in terms of like in our business that we're not doing. Do you think that that's the case? Do you think that it's underused with what, you know, the conversation that you have with?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think if we didn't have any form of AI, never mind our own, we probably need another 10 people in the business.
Yes, at least, right?
Yeah, and mainly I think where we talk about the potential harm to jobs and employment. And we always talk about, you know, if robots around and blue collar workers and all that. The blue collar workers are fine, right? They're going to be fine for years. Not a lot, but years. It's the white collar, it's the juniors who come in. So the junior analysts, the junior management accountants, they're the guys that are impacted by AI. But actually, then there's a jump to the guys at the very top are impacted by AI because, you know, if you talk to some investors, they're thinking AI could do a better job than the CEO of the place.
So that's going to be a massive revolution and change, to be expected, and we don't necessarily know all of that. So, but with everything, when there's threats and risks, there's opportunities.
There is massive opportunities, and our legal tech business has the potential to reduce the workforces in that specific area by 80%. We don't. It's not our goal. It's not what we're trying to do. It's not. Our goal is to give the people who are in post the tools to do a job more efficiently and do it better. With our software business, it's not about replacing developers. I think the software businesses that replace developers will actually go out of business. The ones that will do well are the ones that give the developers the tools to do more, be better, be more accurate. And as a business owner, it's the things that I hate.
That you can do.
Things that I hate sales, right? I hate updated CRMs. I love talking to people now, and I love building relationships. But everything after that, that whole sales process is something that it's not who I am as a person.
We've got a sales expert
I know,
in the room.
I know. That's why we hire people to do that.
Of course, it's all of the things that feel like a waste of time. That now we can go and see, is there an opportunity with AI that I'm missing, so that I can focus on things that I really want to do.
And you look at some CRMs, we make a call through the CRM and transcribes it, breaks it down, analyses it, writes you notes and done. And I see that a lot in recruitment. But there's going to be so many industries that are transformed by AI that I don't think we even know the art possible. I said to you when we were out there, if you look at the gap between the years 1400 and 1600, the world didn't really change very much. But if you look between 1800 and 2026, it's a completely different animal. And what we expect is that the rate of change in the last 200 years, the same rate will happen in the next 20. And it will just get to a point where it's crazy.
I think there's enough evidence, even that some things, for me for example, feel really hard to imagine, but there's enough evidence in this way and that way to go, right, this is beyond, you know, our wildest dreams,
I
really.
predict next year AGI will happen, which is artificial general intelligence, and that's where AI becomes in every generic way more intelligent than a human being.
Yeah, more and capable of like being independent and yeah. Interesting. Yeah. We'll have to have you again next year to review everything. One question also, I've seen something around how people are being maybe tempted to become a bit lazy when it comes to thinking now that AI is available, and that they've been doing different studies with people like doing like essays and things like that. Some with using AI and some without using AI, and how much of an impact it has on their own cognitive abilities.
Yeah.
And interestingly, also the ones who had been working with AI and not really looking into it deeply have no idea what they've written. You ask them about like, you know, what was the answer for this and for that, and at the moment they checked and they were like, no, I'm happy with that. But when you ask them a little while later, they have no idea. So it's not engaged them intellectually. And I think also for some people, even like doubt yourself and going like, could I have the ideas? Like, could I even do it? No, I would never be as good as. So like not even the trying and the effort in. While all the conversation we've been having was that you need to become cleverer and cleverer and cleverer to be able to use AI to its full capacity.
But it's a tool, and it's a tool that you should learn from.
Yeah. So how do we manage that? The you know, the fact that it's more intelligent than us, basically.
We have to embrace it.
Yeah.
It's like a teacher.
Yeah.
But also we teach it. We teach it how to be more human.
We do, don't we?
And they bring the knowledge.
We bring the humanity, but also the creativity and the intuition that we don't even know. Sometimes we don't even know where it comes from.
It's things like you go to a concert to see a band. Well, you do that for a reason. I mean, you could just put an MP3 player on stage with a speaker, and it's not the same. And it's those creative things and those human connections that it'll never replace.
No.
People always ask me about is it going to start a war? Is it going to do all these things? And something stuck with me many years ago that the more something gets intelligent, the more people who get intelligent, it's not intelligent people who start wars. We look what's going on in the world today.
True.
The more intelligent something or someone gets, the more
Peaceful.
it thinks about thinks about everybody else.
Everybody's interests. Yeah, it's so true. That's very optimistic, and I like optimistic views. Yes. So going back to this idea of like, is it making us less intelligent or more intelligent? It's up to us, isn't it? It's up to how we embrace it, how we work with it, how we see it as a collaboration, and how we. For me, I see it as a big challenge of training myself, of upgrading myself, of learning, and you know, challenging
It's
myself.
like those things, right? So as a business owner, you would hire people because of their expertise, because you don't know. But actually, with an AI now, you can say, can you build my management accounts for the last month? And if it's plugged into the right sources, or you can give it the right information, it can build them. You might need to check them.
Yes.
But it's the things that as business owners we shy away from that are not our strengths. They're our weaknesses. It's its strengths. And we can ask it to help. We just need to make sure that we read and check it.
Yeah. We need to learn how to do that, basically, as we would learn to manage a team
And by all means, when you say something, it's not good,
No.
right? You say, how did you get to that?
Yeah.
Explain it to me. And explain it to me like I'm 14.
Yeah. How do I know this is right?
Yeah.
Challenging it.
Yeah.
I argue with it so much.
I do.
Do you do? Yeah, I think someone who would tell me I never argue with it, I would be like very suspicious.
Sometimes I argue with the caps lock key on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Amazing. So yes, I think we talked about a lot of things. I'd love to get to questions, so we're going to stop the recording. Thank you so much, Rob. And we'll continue the conversation and see what